Welcome to Game Time. We're just a week away from the start of the regular season. That means teams are getting their final tune-ups over the next 4 days. Chris Miles of 3D here. You ready for the regular season? It feels like
ready.
Right here.
I'm ready because I'm tired of the preview shows. I'm tired of the team preview shows. I'm tired about what if, who's going to win Rookie of the Year, who's going to win. Man, I should start the real games. I'm tired of what ifs.
Well, we got 3 preseason games tonight to talk about.
Oh,
5 of those 6 teams from the Eastern Conference, including one that was one Kawhi Leonard shot away from reaching the conference. Throw that out at this time of the year because it matters what the young guys are doing, how guys are getting their legs underneath them. And Matisse Thybulle spoke after the game. Come on, they're both good.
Call it trademark.
Great nicknames. 54 points between the two.
I love it. Hey, you do what you do best. You play with confidence. That's why you got drafted, because you do one thing very, very special, which is shoot the basketball.
Well, Rockets general manager Daryl Morey sent a tweet that sent shockwaves around the NBA, and then LeBron James responded to said tweet. That sent shockwaves around the NBA for a second time. Here's LeBron James responding to his response.
It's a tough situation that we're all in right now as an association, as us as athletes, owners, GMs, whatever, so forth. I think, when the issue comes up, if you feel passionate about it or you feel like it's something you want to talk about, then so be it. I also don't think that every issue should be everybody's problem as well. When things come up, there's multiple things that we haven't talked about that happen in our own country that we don't bring up. There's things that happen in my own community that, trying to help my kids graduate high school and go off to college is, what's been my main concern over the last couple of years, in my school. Trying to make sure that the inner city kids that grow up in my hometown can have a brighter future and look at me as an inspiration to get out of the hell hold of the inner city, and we don't talk about those stories enough, but we tend to, want to talk about so many other things as well. So there's issues all over the world, and I think the best thing we can do is, if you feel passionate about it, talk about it. If you're not, if you don't have a lot of knowledge about it or you don't quite understand it, I don't think you should talk about it because it just puts you in a tough position. So.
A week from now, make sure you're watching TNT. You can see the new-look Lakers and Clippers on opening night. You can also get your first glimpse of the first pick in the draft in Zion Williamson. Pelicans and Hawks, Lakers and Clippers, part of an enticing start to the season. Opening tip on TNT is at 8. Of course, the Emmy Award-winning Inside the NBA crew have you covered after the doubleheader. Well, Williamson has put up monster numbers so far in the preseason. He will be the topic of discussion next on Game Time. For our game of make or miss. 3D, you ready to play? This is
I always make jokes, so I always leave it, so you know that.
Well, Kristaps Porzingis, fittingly so, missed a year and a half. Now he's teaming up with Luka Doncic. Last time we saw Kristaps Porzingis, he averaged over 22 a game, 39% from three-point range, 2 blocks a game. Make or miss the Mavericks with Luka and Kristaps as a top 5 duo in the NBA.
Chris, I think that's a no-brainer. That's a make all day long. And here's why. You have 2 young men who are willing to play the right way, and also have to give Rick Carlisle some love because he's going to make sure the system fits these guys. They share, they care, and they make sure everyone around them's better. Already Luka Doncic here in the preseason throwing the ball around his back between his legs, and then the unicorns picking and popping, shooting threes. So I think their chemistry will kick in right away. And once again, Rick Carlisle will make sure the system fits them.
Sometimes we have to pay attention to numbers. You ready for this? To go north to Chicago, whenever you see 23, it's something special.
Of course.
23 points a game and 23 minutes a game for Zach LaVine this preseason. Averaged 23 a game last season in his 23rd year, right?
Okay.
Because he was 23 years old.
Right.
Now, as he turns 24 in his 6th year, will he be an all-star? Zach LaVine in Chicago.
With the way the Eastern Conference is, and one thing I know about Zach LaVine, he puts in the work, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say this is the year where defensively, we as commentators stop saying Zach LaVine's not bringing his defense every night. So I think defensively, he will get better. He'll get some steals, get some easy baskets, and he showed us last year in the 4th quarter scoring, he's in the top in the league. So I think this is the year he becomes an all-star, another make.
Well, That's 2 makes in a row. How about 3? Let's go to the Rookie of the Year discussion. And it all starts with the number 1 overall pick, Zion Williamson, who's averaging 23 points per game himself as well so far this preseason. That's 5th amongst all players, 1st amongst rookies. So is he going to run away with Rookie of the Year?
Run away with it? Is that run away?
Make or miss. Zion Williamson running away with Rookie of the Year.
Oh, my goodness. The running away part has me a little bit nervous.
Is he going to win Rookie of the Year?
I'm nervous, and here's why. Because in our preview shows earlier a few weeks ago, I said Ja Morant would probably win it because that's going to be in his hands.
He's going to have it. He's going to control it.
We know when the ball's in his hands, a lot of things happen. But hold on to the ball a little bit longer. But now what I saw in the preseason, Zion owned this paint. You know why? Because he cut to the basket, Zoe ball, layup. He cuts to the basket again. Drew Holiday, layup, alley-oop dunk. The way he handled Rudy Gobert, missed shot, put back. I was like, maybe I need to change my mind because Zion has showed us something in Duke he never showed us. No plays have been called for him now in the preseason. He's getting it done. That's why I'm so excited, people. Before I saw the preseason, I was all over Ja Morant. The ball's in his hands. He might average a double-double with points and assists. And that missed dunk he had the other night in the preseason, I'm like, oh, my goodness, Ja Morant's going to go crazy. So to answer your question.
Is Zion Williamson going to win Rookie of the Year? Make or miss?
Make.
Ooh, Zion Williamson shooting 70% from the floor. There's your stat to back that up. How about Ja Morant, the guy you mentioned, averaging almost 8 assists a game, balls in his hands? What about Ja for Rookie of the Year? Make or miss?
No, I think it's once again, it's another possible make because young team, he's playing with Jaren Jackson Jr., he has potential to average a double-double because he's willing to share the basketball. He's willing to break his man down and get to the paint and get to the rim. It's just that I think as voters, they may say, which team has the better record at the end of the year? Both guys would probably have solid numbers. So I think the voters may go with which team is possibly better than the other. I think that's where the voters will go.
Well, if you're going for a team with the best record, how about a dark horse in this? A guy who sat out last year, which would have been his rookie year, the year he got drafted. Michael Porter Jr. with the Denver Nuggets, averaging 10 points a game in just 16 minutes. We know how talented he is. Make or miss, Michael Porter Jr., Rookie of the Year.
I'm going to say miss because Denver is just too deep. Now, to your point, which is great, that playing on a great team, you're playing with the Joker who's willing to share. Jamal Murray's willing to share. Gary Harris is willing to share. But I'm not sure he's going to crack that rotation right away. I think as the season wears on, he'll find some minutes somewhere between 8 to 10 mark, maybe to give Millsap some rest because we know he's a little older. They want to save him for the playoffs. I like your thinking there, but I think Denver may be a little too deep, so I'm going to go with the miss on this one.
Certainly last year we saw it go down to the wire with Luka Doncic and Trae Young. Do you anticipate another close race between maybe Ja Morant, Zion Williamson, or even Michael Porter Jr.? I
really do because the excitement that Ja Morant's going to play with, once again, people, this is going to be in his hand. He's not your, new school point guard where he wants to shoot all the time. He wants to facilitate and then get his buckets. But again, Zion with 2 guards who's willing to pass. New Orleans, Bourbon Street, it's going to be nice down there this year.
So many talented players who haven't even turned 21 yet.
Yes.
I mean, it's just incredible.
Yes.
Remember this guy before he turned 21, actually when he was 22, won MVP, Derrick Rose. Special thanks to the Detroit Pistons for that feature. Derrick Rose won the MVP award at 22 years young, youngest player in NBA history to do that. In 2 of the last 3 seasons, he's averaged 18 points per game, including last year. 3D, what are you expecting from him this year in Detroit?
I'm expecting, some of the old Derrick Rose to come back. And what I mean by that, last year I did the segment Shooter's Paradise with Derrick Rose, and everyone was wondering why I did that. And then 2 days later, he goes off for 52. So what I mean is that his confidence is not 100%, but very close to it because he went through so much. And I like to tell people, think about whatever you do for a living for 5 or 6 years, you weren't able to do it because of an injury, because of a setback. Now, these last couple of years, he's been able to get through a full season with no real injuries. Yes, a sore thumb here, a sore toe, things happen in the 82 season, but no serious injuries in the last couple of years. So that's what I mean by his overall confidence back. You see the quickness, you see the reverse layups. A couple times last year, he got a couple dunks. You said now the athletic ability is starting to come back. And last but not least, Blake Griffin and everyone around him says his competitive spirit has never left. So I think Derrick Rose still has a lot of basketball left in him.
You said something very interesting because Derrick Rose is just 30 years old at this point.
That's it.
8 years ago that he won the MVP. But when you say 6 or 7 seasons playing at a high level, and it's been a few years since we've seen him do that, it reminds me of another guy whose career went that arc, and that's Grant Hill.
Yeah,
he played at an MVP level for 6 years. Then for 6 straight seasons, he missed a complete year, had the ankle surgeries, and missed almost 6 years of his career, and then played until he was 40.
Yes.
How fair of a comparison is that when we think of how talented these guys were to start their career and the possibility for Derrick Rose going forward?
Well, I like where you're going with this because we all fell in love with Grant Hill, to your point, those first 7 years, because everything was to the basket, attack his man, and get to the free throw line. And, of course, late in his career, he became a defensive stopper. We like to joke about that, but once again, it's the competitive spirit you have late in your career, and with Derrick Rose only being 30 years old, I still think there's a lot of basketball left.
Yeah, Grant Hill probably the prime example, but there are a lot of other guys. Sean Livingston, a champion for the Golden State Warriors, who also went through multiple surgeries. How about that as a comparison?
That's another one. I know we're not going to show the injury for Sean Livingston. You can go Google that somewhere and find it, but it's to see him come back and be a part of a championship team like he shows for the Golden State Warriors, a part of the rotation where teams were trying to find guys who can complement him to come out and try to stop him off the bench. Couldn't do it. So he found that confidence I'm talking about in his body to go out there and play the game at a high level and believe in the things he could do before the injury. That's why I think Derrick Rose fits in that mode where I think the confidence is back. We can get back to doing those great things.
It feels like the key to that is becoming a different player, learning a different skill set. For Derrick Rose, in your piece last year in Shooter's Paradise, it's the outside shooting that really has taken his game to a different place.
Outside shooting, but picking and choosing when you attack. Everything that needed to be a dunk. Now a little mid-range shot, a little reverse layup. He's mixing up a little bit.
Certainly. Great to see Derrick Rose with the comeback in his career. To be
Welcome back, Pooh. Let's go,
how
baby.
Great he'll look with the Detroit Pistons this season. Hey, Wednesdays are for Crunch Time here on NBA TV. Hang out with us starting at 7 as we take you around the league to all of the games in progress. Such a fun show to be a part of.
Crunch time!
How about analytics versus talent? The debate rages on, and one of Steph Curry's former teammates is in the middle of that. That's up next. Fun when Kevin Durant is on Twitter. Two-time Finals MVP had this to say about analytics. 3D, are you with him? For a closer like Kevin Durant saying, forget analytics if you're the one that closes the game.
He has a great point there because I always tease the analytics people. How do you get those numbers? By the players attacking and going to put them up. And to Kevin Durant's point, when he has the ball in his sweet spot, in that mid-range, once you cross half court, it's a bucket unless you double team him and get the ball out of his hands. So I have to agree with KD on this one.
Something tells me that the analytics are also in KD's favor because he's just that good, right?
He's that good because when you get it done that right, analytics like, the numbers don't lie. You see he shot 50, 90, 40,
I just
50.
love how KD responds to everybody on Twitter.
KD,
That's
get healthy, baby, relax.
I'm Chris Miles. Thanks for hanging out with us.